Have you ever had that feeling, like the doors to success, they were already closed by the time you even got there?
Yeah, like all the good stuff, the wealth, the opportunity, it's all fenced off somehow.
Yeah,
By the rich and powerful, maybe.
exactly. Well, today's deep dive might just flip that whole belief right on its head.
Uh-huh.
In this deep dive, we're digging into a really powerful idea from our source material. We're looking specifically at Wallace D. Wattles' work today.
A classic.
Right. And the core message is pretty bold. You're not poor because other people are rich. We're going to explore how opportunity isn't actually monopolized and why you might already have access to, well, basically infinite resources.
And this is the key part, if you learn to think and act in what Wattles calls a certain way.
It's the core of it. So we're going to break this down into three main areas. First up, we'll tackle that myth of scarcity. Debunk it, really.
Okay.
Then we'll get into understanding the current tide of opportunity. Like, where is it actually flowing now?
Because it moves,
Yeah,
right?
it moves, exactly. And finally, we'll start looking at how to unlock your own path to abundance using this very specific certain way. So stick with us. This could get, well, revolutionary.
It's definitely a compelling framework. And, the sources lay out this vision it's big, it's visionary, but it's also surprisingly grounded.
Yeah.
It really challenges how most of us think about wealth and potential.
Okay, so building on that idea, that radical idea of unlimited resources, let's dive right into the first big claim Wattles makes. It really challenges a fundamental assumption, I think, that many of us just accept about how wealth works.
Yeah, what's really fascinating here is how explicit he is. He says, and I'm quoting loosely here, "No man is kept poor because opportunity has been taken away, because other people have monopolized the wealth and put a fence around it."
Wow, direct.
Very. The text argues that people stay poor simply because they do not act in a certain way. It directly confronts that idea that external forces are the main thing holding you back.
So what does that really mean for you listening right now? I mean, this completely flips that victim narrative, doesn't it?
Totally.
Instead of blaming the system or feeling like, oh, you missed the boat, these sources empower you. They suggest you can actually create your own path.
Right.
It says again and again that success, getting rich even, is directly linked to adopting this specific way of thinking and acting, like cause and effect.
But, okay, let's address the elephant in the room. Someone listening might feel genuinely shut out. How does the source handle that? Because some fields do seem locked down.
Good point.
And it acknowledges that. It says some fields might be, pretty well monopolized.
Yeah.
Use the example of great railroad systems back in his day.
Right, like the big established industries.
Exactly. But the crucial point, the nuance here, is that new channels are constantly opening. Always. So the real opportunity isn't about fighting for scraps in those old, maybe saturated fields. It's about shifting your mindset, shifting your actions to align with what is opening up now.
I love the analogy the source implies. It's like picture opportunity not as a pie, right? Where if someone takes a big slice, there's less for you. But picture it more like sunlight. Just because someone else is basking in it doesn't mean there's any less sunlight available for you.
That's a great way to put it. And Wattles goes even further. He states point blank, no one is kept in poverty by a shortness in the supply of riches. There is more than enough for all.
More than enough.
Yeah, and he paints this incredibly vivid picture to illustrate it. He says something like, you could build a palace as big as the Capitol building in Washington, D.C. for every single family on Earth, just from the building materials available in the United States alone.
Whoa.
And that the U.S. could produce enough wool, cotton, linen, silk to clothe everyone on Earth finer than King Solomon, plus enough food to feed everyone luxuriously. It's this image of staggering abundance.
It really makes you stop and think, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And the source emphasizes the visible supply is practically inexhaustible, and the invisible supply really is inexhaustible.
The invisible supply.
Yeah.
What's that about?
He calls it the formless stuff, or original substance, basically the raw potential of the universe. And he says there's no limit to it.
Okay.
Critically, he adds that more will be produced from the formless if we somehow used up all the current physical resources. So this directly knocks down the idea that poverty is because we're running out of stuff.
So it's not about scarcity of resources at all.
According to Wattles, no. It's foundational.
No.
Everything comes from this intelligent, abundant potential.
So let me ask you, listening, when have you felt like opportunity was just gone, taken, like you were too late to the party? What if that feeling, powerful as it is, just wasn't the whole truth?
A powerful question.
Okay, so if this scarcity idea is a myth, as we've just kind of unpacked, what does that mean for where opportunity is? If it's not limited, where do we find it?
Well, the sources say opportunity isn't gone. It just moves. It shifts, like a current in the ocean.
Okay, I like that. A current.
Yeah, Wattles highlights how at different periods the tide of opportunity sets in different directions. And this depends on, the needs of society as a whole, where we are in our social evolution.
So it's dynamic, it's alive almost.
Exactly. It's constantly shifting, evolving to meet new needs, new demands.
Which means if you can figure out where that current tide is flowing...
You get leverage. Momentum.
Okay. The source actually advises go with the tide instead of trying to swim against it if you want success.
Makes sense, right? It's about being observant, being adaptable, not just stubbornly trying to force something that worked yesterday.
Yeah, trying to muscle your way through.
Right. And connecting this to the bigger picture. Think about trying to force your way into, say, outdated markets. Wattles used the example of competing in the steam railway world when that was already established.
Right, fighting the giants on their turf.
Yeah, it's way less effective than flowing with the emerging markets. The text keeps saying new channels are constantly opening, even if the old ones look full. It's about spotting that new frontier.
It reminds me of being at the beach, trying to swim straight out against a strong current. It's exhausting.
Totally.
And then you realize if you just shifted a bit, there's another current, or maybe just calmer water, that takes you where you want to go much easier. Opportunity really is like that tide. Fighting it is swimming upstream.
Well said. But if you can spot the current...
You can ride it all the way in.
And Wattles gave some surprisingly spot-on examples for his time, things that really parallel modern trends. He pointed to the electric railway business, like early electric transport, saying it was still in its infancy, and offered plenty of scope.
Wow. Okay.
He even predicted aerial transportation, basically air travel, would become a great industry, employing hundreds of thousands, perhaps millions.
That's pretty prescient for the early 1900s. It's like he saw electric cars and the airline industry coming.
Kind of amazing, right? And he also pinpointed agriculture, specifically for America at the time. He mentioned intensive cultivation on small plots of land, saying people doing that will certainly get rich.
Interesting, like small-scale, high-value farming.
Seems like it. He even explicitly said, today, opportunity is open before the farmer in his line, more than before the factory worker in his line. A big shift he saw coming.
So, thinking about today, what's one area, maybe in your life, maybe in business, where you feel that tide changing? Where's the current moving now? And how could you maybe get ahead of it?
Food for thought.
Okay, so let's bring this all together then. If opportunity is actually everywhere and it's always moving, the big question becomes, how do you personally tap into it?
Right.
And this is where our sources introduce us to this key concept, the certain way.
Yeah, the source material is very clear on this. It says people stay poor because they do not act in a certain way. And conversely, getting rich is directly linked to adopting this specific method, this specific way of thinking and acting.
A method.
A method. And crucially, he says the law of wealth is the same for them as it is for all others. Meaning, this isn't some secret handshake for the elite. It's a universal principle, available to anyone who gets it and applies it.
It sounds like it requires discipline, though, this alignment of thought and action.
Oh, definitely. It's not passive.
But this is so important, right? Because it empowers you. It lets you believe that your thoughts and your actions are what create wealth, not just your circumstances or your starting point.
Exactly. The source even gives the example of an individual worker, say, in a steel trust back then.
Okay.
Saying that person can follow the tide of opportunity to riches and can soon leave the employ of the steel trust if they act in this certain way.
So it's about shifting from being like a cog in someone else's machine to becoming the creator of your own reality, in a sense.
That's a good way to put it. And if we connect this back to that formless stuff, it's about aligning your belief, your purpose, and importantly, your consistent action with the creative forces of the universe.
Okay, formless stuff sounds a bit out there. How does he describe it?
Well, he doesn't describe it as just passive clay. He says it's intelligent, it is stuff which thinks. It's alive, and it's always impelled toward more life.
Towards more life. Interesting.
Yeah, its natural impulse is to seek to live more. Like intelligence wants to expand, consciousness wants to grow and express itself more fully. He calls the universe a great living presence, always moving inherently toward more life and fuller functioning.
Okay, so the universe isn't just static resources. It's alive, intelligent, and wants to grow.
According to Waddles, yes. And that's the key insight.
Right.
It's a living, intelligent system that actively responds to a certain kind of focused intention and action. That's the foundation of the certain way. It's not just wishing.
Right, not magical thinking.
Oh, no. It's aligning your directed thought and action with this fundamental creative principle.
So maybe think of this formless substance less like magic and more like the underlying intelligent potential that creates everything we see, the pure raw material, constantly seeking new forms. Like, creative clay is a decent analogy. You shape it with your thoughts, yes, but crucially with your actions, too.
And it's infinite. It's intelligent. And the source suggests it wants to work with you. Waddle says, everything you see on Earth is made from one original substance.
Okay.
Out of which all things proceed, and new forms are constantly being made, and older ones are dissolving, but all are shapes assumed by one thing.
Wow. Okay, that's a big concept.
It is. And look, we've all been there, right? Feeling stuck, thinking the resources are gone, the opportunities dried up, that there's just no way forward.
Definitely.
But what if? What if the universe, this formless supply, is just waiting? Waiting for you to get clear on what you want and then step into action in that certain way.
Waiting for you to ask, basically.
And act. The source states, the resources of the formless supply are at the command of the man or woman who will act and think in a certain way. It's incredibly empowering, I think, once you really let that sink in.
Yeah. So, 2 questions for you listening. First, how would you act differently starting tomorrow if you truly believed deep down that the supply of opportunity was infinite? Really believed it. And second, what's one aspect of this certain way, this specific discipline alignment of thought and action? What's one small part you could start practicing, like right now, to invite more of that abundance into your life?
Big questions to ponder.
Definitely. So here's the challenge. Start by just noticing. Noticing where you've believed opportunity was blocked for you, where you felt that fence was up.
Awareness first.
Right. And then ask yourself, is it really blocked? Or is that maybe just a belief I've held? Then, maybe this week, try one small action, something that aligns with where you see a new tide of opportunity.
Doesn't have to be huge.
No. Could be researching a new industry you're curious about. Could be literally planting something, connecting with that idea of growth. Or maybe it's just consciously working on shifting that core belief about scarcity itself.
Good starting points. And in our next deep dive, we'll get even more practical. We'll dive deeper into exactly how this certain way works. Breaking down the specific principles, the daily practices, Waddles outlines how to actually build it into your life.
Awesome. So if today's deep dive shifted something for you, maybe opened a door, hit that follow button so you don't miss the next one.
Yeah, and maybe share this with someone you know who feels a bit stuck, who might need to hear this perspective.
Let's build this mindset revolution together. Thanks for tuning in.
Has you ever noticed how sometimes just one word, precisely chosen, can unlock a whole new layer of meaning? You know, a deeper understanding of a concept. It's sort of like finding a secret key, really. Not just for expressing complex ideas, but for truly grasping their essence.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's amazing how powerful language can be. And today, We're diving deep into that very idea.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't just about, expanding your vocabulary list. It's about gaining a really nuanced understanding, a sophisticated grasp of concepts, and that can fundamentally enhance your confidence, your clarity, when you're trying to express even the most complex thoughts.
Right. Confidence and clarity, that's huge.
Exactly. And we're going to demonstrate why context and usage are just absolutely crucial at an advanced level. It allows you to articulate thoughts with a precision and an impact that truly resonates with people. And to do that, we're drawing from maybe a surprisingly potent source, Wallace D. Wattles' The Science of Getting Rich. Now, this is a text written over a century ago, but honestly, it's filled with these timeless principles and some really fascinating insights that will connect to our modern world.
Okay, a classic.
Mm.
So let's unpack this then. We're going to kick things off by exploring how opportunity truly works, maybe challenging some common assumptions people have.
Good starting point.
Then we'll look at how to effectively ride those waves of change that are, constantly reshaping our world. Seems more relevant than ever.
Definitely.
From there, we'll move into some really groundbreaking ideas, I think, about abundance itself, and even the astonishing concept of the intelligence woven into nature.
Yeah, that's where it gets really profound.
Right. And we'll wrap up by distilling all of this into practical, actionable steps you can take to put these insights into action in your own life. It really does get more interesting, doesn't it, when you start peeling back these layers?
It absolutely does. Yeah, the depth is quite remarkable. Let's begin our deep dive.
All right, so the core source material from Wattles, it raises this fascinating and, enduring question. I think it resonates with many of us today. Is opportunity ever truly monopolized?
Yeah, that's a big one.
Right. The text tackles that feeling head on, that sense that maybe, perhaps all the good opportunities have already been seized, But it suggests that while some fields might seem closed off, like the great railroad systems of the past he mentions, opportunity itself is, in fact, limitless.
It's a bold statement, isn't it? Especially when you look around sometimes.
It is. It invites us to reconsider our fundamental beliefs about scarcity.
And what's truly fascinating here is the distinction Wattles makes. He acknowledges that some industries can indeed be monopolized, completely controlled by one party. He points to the steel trust example, or the railroad giants of their time. I mean, these were vast, sprawling entities. And to the average person back then, it probably seemed like there was little to no chance to become the owner of the plant, to really establish yourself meaningfully within them.
Yeah, you can picture it. These huge industrial landscapes where the biggest players had already carved out their empires. Newcomers must have felt totally squeezed out.
Exactly. It paints a vivid picture. But then he immediately shifts our focus to the idea of unmonopolized fields.
Unmonopolized fields, okay.
Now, this concept isn't just about not being controlled by one person. It strongly implies open territory. It's ripe for innovation, ripe for those with an entrepreneurial spirit.
Exactly. So it's not about competing head on where others have already cornered the market. I like that phrase, cornered the market. It really conjures an image, doesn't it? Someone having a chokehold on an industry, making it incredibly difficult for anyone else to get a foothold.
Right. A very visceral image.
So instead, Wattles encourages turning our attention to what he calls new frontiers. Think about that phrase. It evokes exploration, uncharted territory, a place where the prime real estate hasn't been claimed yet, where there's still ample room for genuine impact and growth.
Precisely. And Wattles uses very specific examples from his era that are honestly remarkably prescient. He talks about the electric railway business being still in its infancy at the time, offering plenty of scope for enterprise. I mean, think about the sheer transformation that industry brought.
Incredible.
And then he introduces a truly groundbreaking idea for his time. Traffic and transportation through the air, what we now almost casually call aerial transportation.
He saw that coming over 100 years ago.
He did. He foresaw it as an emerging industry that would provide employment to hundreds of thousands and perhaps to millions of people. Now, this wasn't just a wild guess. It was illustrating a powerful principle. Look beyond the obvious. Recognize that a zero-sum game, the idea that what one gains, another must lose, is a fundamentally flawed way of viewing opportunity.
Right, the pie isn't fixed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's telling us the pie isn't fixed. It can expand indefinitely.
This really makes you pause and think about today's economy, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, with the incredible dominance of tech giants and established corporations, does it sometimes feel harder to break in, to truly make your mark?
It certainly can feel that way. Like all the best ideas have been had, all the best markets saturated.
Yeah. So if we apply Waddell's wisdom, what's our modern day aerial transportation? Where are those new frontiers today?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, the source material, when we sort of extrapolate from its principles, it indirectly points to some fascinating areas, I think. We're seeing the rise of highly personalized AI services, for example, moving beyond general AI to truly tailored solutions.
Hyper-personalization.
Exactly. Then there are sustainable energy solutions, like breakthrough fusion tech. That promises a revolutionary shift in how we power our world.
Right. Yep. Potentially world-changing.
The space economy is just blossoming. Tourism, resource extraction, who knows what else. We're also seeing incredible advancements in biointegrated tech, bridging biology and technology.
Fascinating field.
And the continuously evolving creator economy with its decentralized networks and blockchain technologies. I mean, these are all areas that are still bubbling up. They're emerging, growing rapidly, not yet controlled by what we might call entrenched giants who've completely consolidated their power.
Right. They represent massive, untapped potential.
Huge potential.
And identifying these trends, these new frontiers, it requires more than just casual observation, It demands a keen market analysis.
Keen market analysis.
Yeah, a sharp, almost intuitive ability to interpret economic data and societal shifts. And crucially, an agility to adapt. These aren't just buzzwords.
Right, they mean something real.
They really do. They emphasize the need for sharp observation and quick responsiveness. It's about spotting those subtle signals that indicate where a paradigm shift might be occurring.
Those little ripples before the massive wave.
Precisely. It's about cracking open doors to completely new possibilities that others might not even perceive yet. And this isn't just about being intelligent in the traditional sense. It's about cognitive flexibility.
Cognitive flexibility. Tell me more about that.
Well, it's the profound capacity to learn, to unlearn old assumptions that no longer serve you, and to constantly adapt your thinking to new realities. It's almost like discovering a secret code to tomorrow's economy. It allows you to align yourself with its flow rather than struggling against it. It's seeing the economy not as a series of finite, disconnected opportunities, but as this colossal network of interconnected possibilities if you just know how to tap into it.
Wow. Okay, so the immediate challenge for you, the listener, is to identify those unmonopolized fields in your own life, your industry, maybe even your local community. Where can you turn your attention instead of, swimming against a powerful current, perhaps in a field that feels stagnant or overcrowded? That agility, that ability to detect subtle signal, to look beyond the obvious, it's not just a skill, it's a profound strategic advantage, isn't it? Especially in our rapidly changing world.
Absolutely. It's a skill that pays dividends, really, regardless of your chosen path. And this idea of identifying unmonopolized fields, it naturally leads us to another really powerful principle from Waddell's work.
Okay.
The idea of going with the tide of opportunity rather than trying to swim against it. He describes the latter as rowing like mad against a powerful current.
That's such a vivid expression, isn't it? Rowing like mad against a powerful current. You can just feel the exhaustion, the futility.
Exactly. It paints a clear picture of Well, exhausting yourself to no avail. A futile expenditure of energy that yields minimal, if any, results. It's about discerning the dominant currents and aligning yourself with them rather than fighting the inevitable flow of change.
So in America, at the time Wattles was writing, the prevailing tide, that's his term, was setting strongly toward agriculture.
That's right.
He explicitly states that opportunity is open before the farmer in his line, more than before the factory worker. This concept of a prevailing tide is powerful. It indicates the strongest or most common trend, right? The direction of the dominant economic forces shaping the landscape.
Precisely. It's about recognizing the momentum. The tide of opportunity, as he calls it, signifies the fundamental direction of economic growth or the emergence of new, rapidly expanding markets. It profoundly emphasizes the importance of aligning yourself with its flow rather than, and I like this phrase he uses, clinging to old skills or rigidly resisting change.
Clinging to old skills. Yeah, that really evokes a sense of desperation, doesn't it? Like being stuck in the past when maybe the industry tide was going out, as they say.
Right. And Wattles reassures us that there is abundance of opportunity for the man who will go with the tide. It's like finding the engine of prosperity in the economy and wisely choosing to get on board, letting its power carry you forward rather than struggling against it. It's a deeply strategic move.
It's a brilliant metaphor, really. It's like trimming your sails just right.
Yeah.
Adjusting them perfectly to leverage those powerful forces of nature, or in this case, economic change, rather than fruitlessly fighting them. You're not just passively floating, you're actively navigating. You're becoming a master of adaptive strategy.
That's a great way to put it.
You're using the inherent momentum of the market, which, like the ocean, is an undeniable and powerful force. You're harnessing that energy instead of trying to generate it all on your own.
So for you, the listener, the critical question becomes, what are the strongest tides of opportunity in our modern world right now?
Okay, let's brainstorm some.
Well, the sources discussion questions adapted for today, they highlight some key areas. We see massive growth in data science, the analysis and interpretation of vast information sets driving almost every industry.
Absolutely huge.
The digital content creation and the broader creator economy continue to explode, offering unprecedented avenues for individual expression and business.
Right, that whole ecosystem.
The green economy is a huge wave. It encompasses everything from renewables and clean energy to ecological restoration and sustainable practices.
Critical.
We also have the silver economy, which refers to the burgeoning services and products designed for an aging global population.
Yeah, demographics driving that one.
Then there's the experience economy, with its focus on immersive entertainment and bespoke learning experiences, highly customized and personal.
Bespoke learning, I like that. Tailored.
Exactly. And increasingly, the mental wellness industry is seeing significant investment and demand. These are all areas of unprecedented demand, a level of need never seen before, where there's still incredible potential for innovation, growth, and personal impact.
Unprecedented demand. That's a key phrase.
It really is. They represent, in essence, a colossal tide of change that's reshaping our economic landscape.
And what's crucial here, I think, is that these are not just fleeting trends. They are areas of profound, unprecedented demand where there's still incredible potential. It's about being anticipatory, isn't it? Not just reactive. Seeing where the economic momentum is truly building, where the energy is flowing.
Precisely. It's about looking ahead, understanding the currents, and adapting your strategy adaptively to leverage them. Putting yourself in a position to not just succeed, but to truly thrive.
Adaptively.
Yeah.
Using the tide, not fighting it. Okay, so this idea of going with the tide, it leads us to one of the most compelling concepts in the source material, I think. It really speaks to a deep human desire for fulfillment.
Yes.
What Wattles seems to imply with the Great Pivot, he describes a worker leaving the steel trust, which he paints as a truly monolithic employer, right?
Mm-hmm.
A huge, unyielding organization that would have felt inescapable at the time.
Absolutely. Almost like a force of nature itself.
Yeah. And this worker leaves that to buy a farm and engage in intensive cultivation. It's such a stark contrast, isn't it? Moving from the industrial behemoth to the quiet intimacy of the land. This isn't just a career change. It feels like a profound, almost spiritual view of transforming one's entire life.
It really does. And for many people, even today, leaving a stable, even if it's unfulfilling, corporate job or an established career path feels like a big leap or a huge risk. And let's be honest, it often is.
For sure. The fear is real.
It is. The source implies that by acting in a certain way, one can overcome that pervasive fear of failure and the gnawing sensation of a stifled feeling.
A gnawing sensation. That's powerful imagery. It's not just unpleasant. It's like this persistent, eroding anxiety that can just eat away at your peace of mind.
Exactly. And a stifled feeling. That implies a suppression of one's true self, doesn't it? A crushing of one's potential and spirit within a confining environment. It's that deep internal discomfort that signals something needs to change.
You know, it's about that deep itch for something more, isn't it? That personal urge for growth that leads to an internal wrestling match within us.
Internal wrestling match. Yeah, that perfectly captures it.
That intense inner conflict, the struggle with the immense pressure to conform, and the sheer uncertainty of striking out on a new path. Wattles gives us these powerful examples from his time, but we can easily translate them to today, can't we? Trading screens for soil, leaving a high-paying tech job for a permaculture farm, maybe.
Right. I know people who've done things like that.
Or ditching a demanding law career to become a full-time potter. Or perhaps moving from the corporate ladder to dedicate yourself to a nonprofit that deeply aligns with your values. These are complete life overhaul decisions. It speaks to the total transformation involved. They require a radical shift, a powerful leap of faith into the unknown, driven by an inner knowing.
And the barriers to making such a pivot can be truly immense. We've touched on the immense pressure from societal expectations, the sheer uncertainty of an unproven path, or even a profound sense of losing your identity when you step away from a role that has defined you for so long. That's often intensified by social pressure from family or peers.
Yeah, the what will people think factor.
Exactly. Wattles, in his original text, he even mentions the sensory details, the grime and oil and noisy clanging steel plant. It makes the idea of leaving feel so incredibly liberating, almost a physical escape. But crucially, he also highlights the enablers.
Okay, the things that make it possible.
Right. Things like a strong support system, the development of raw courage to face the unknown, and a deep, unwavering belief in the potential for abundance. It's fundamentally recognizing that the job description you don't match, the one that doesn't fit your true self, doesn't have to define your future. This unwavering willingness to iterate, to learn, and to pivot when necessary becomes absolutely key to unlocking that potential.
So, for you, the listener, maybe take a moment to think. What might be your steel trust equivalent? What are those psychological, financial, or practical barriers you might be grappling with, really struggling against, to make your own radical shift? This deep dive isn't just an intellectual exercise, is it? It's meant to help you see these potential changes, not as a threat, not as something to be feared, but as a tool, maybe even a collaborator in your own personal and professional evolution.
That's a great way to frame it, a collaborator. It's an incredibly practical way to approach significant transformative life decisions.
Okay, so building on this idea of personal transformation, Wattles presents two fascinating yet distinct pathways to economic improvement. He offers what he seems to see as equally compelling routes.
Right, it's not an either in his view necessarily.
Exactly. One is focused on individuals acting in a certain way for personal prosperity, and the other involves the working class collectively establishing great cooperative industries.
This creates a fascinating echo of this debate that's still incredibly relevant today, doesn't it? a discussion that continues to unfold in our society.
Absolutely. We often hear about pull yourself up by your bootstraps, that classic idiom for self-reliance and individual effort.
Mm-hmm. The American dream, sort of.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
It encapsulates the idea of individual ingenuity and personal agency, the belief that through sheer will and effort, anyone can achieve success. Waddle certainly speaks to this. He asserts that the individual worker is not held down by the ignorance or the mental slothfulness of his class. Rather, he can follow the tide of opportunity to riches. This emphasizes what many see as the quintessential dream of self-determination, where your destiny is purely in your own hands. It's a powerful narrative of individual mastery and triumph. But then he offers this powerful alternative, almost a counter-narrative, or at least a complementary one. He states, "The working class may become the master class whenever they will begin to do things in a certain way."
Right, by organizing.
By establishing great department stores and cooperative industries, much like their brothers in Belgium and other countries, he says. This isn't about individual striving, is it? It's about collective ownership, where collaboration is the main economic model, fostering true communal strength.
Exactly. These concepts highlight a systemic approach to economic change, moving beyond individual gain to shared prosperity. It's about creating impactful unions, co-ops, working towards shared goals, distributing wealth and opportunity more broadly.
So what Waddles illuminates here is a fundamental tension, it seems. Individualism versus the need for systemic change.
That's a perfect way to put it. And both approaches, in his view, have compelling merits for achieving widespread prosperity and broader uplift within society. They're not necessarily mutually exclusive, he implies, but rather offer different powerful pathways to economic improvement.
It forces us to consider the lone innovator, driving change through personal endeavor, versus the strength of many leveraging their collective power for the common good.
Right. It's a profound philosophical turn in his argument, I think, inviting us to consider what truly constitutes progress and how it can be achieved at different scales.
So, in our society today, with all its complexities, do you believe individual entrepreneurial spirit or collective action holds more promise for economic improvement? It's a debate we constantly revisit, isn't it?
Constantly, and there's no easy answer.
No. Waddles, through his dual perspective, suggests that perhaps optimizing for freedom and shared well-being might involve a sophisticated combination of these forces, perhaps leading to a more equitable distribution of wealth and opportunity than either approach could achieve on its own.
It seems plausible, finding that synergy between personal drive and communal support, that could be the sweet spot.
Let's circle back for a moment to that farmer Waddles describes, the one who leaves the steel truss to work on small tracts of land, cultivating them intensively.
Right, the pivot example.
Yeah. The source explicitly says such men will certainly get rich. Now, this principle, it seems to go against the obsession with scale we often see today, doesn't it? This notion that bigger is always better, that you need to acquire vast resources to succeed.
It's a profound counterintuitive insight, isn't it? Intensive cultivation. It means maximizing output from a limited resource through focused, deep, and highly effective effort. It stands in stark contrast to diffuse efforts or, dabbling in lots of things superficially.
Right, like spreading yourself too thin.
Exactly. What we might see today with a digital graveyard of half-finished online courses or content creators churning out shallow articles just for volume. That phrase, churning out, suggests low quality and high quantity, right?
Yeah, quantity over quality.
Waddles is arguing for being bursting with life and truly vibrant in your chosen niche, rather than spread thin across a vast, unmanaged area. It's about truly optimizing what you have.
This is really about deep, efficient focus, then. The source implicitly supports this by highlighting modern examples that resonate perfectly with the farmer. Like, think about niche online stores that, instead of trying to be everything to everyone, offer a curated selection of products.
Very focused.
And as a result, they dominate a specific category. Or a musician who, rather than trying to master every instrument, becomes a true virtuoso by mastering one instrument or genre.
Hyper focus.
Or writers who, instead of penning multiple superficial books, commit to deeply researching and crafting one definitive seminal work. It's like creating a meticulously tended garden rather than a sparsely planted, sprawling field. The quality and depth of engagement are far higher.
It's unequivocally about depth over breadth. This is where the concept of deep work comes in the practice of carving out that uninterrupted time for concentrated, uninterrupted, high cognitive demand work.
Carving out that time, that's the challenge.
It is, but it's crucial. By focusing intently on a specific area, whether it's a skill, a project, or a market niche, you not only distinguish yourself, but also cultivate unparalleled expertise. That term, unparalleled expertise, signals a level of skill and knowledge that is virtually unmatched. You become a true master of a narrow domain.
Wow.
This deep, focused effort, paradoxically perhaps, leads to better margins and more lasting success than attempting to grab vast amounts of territory superficially. It's a powerful testament to the value of focused dedication.
So the challenge for you, the listener, is where can you apply this timeless principle of intensive cultivation in your own life? Whether it's a creative pursuit, a business endeavor, or a crucial skill you're developing, focusing deeply on a smaller scale often yields not just better margins, but maybe more importantly, a deeper sense of mastery and truly lasting success.
It's incredibly practical advice, isn't it? It transcends the centuries, proving that it's not about grabbing vast amounts of land, metaphorically speaking, but about maximizing the potential of what you already have.
Maximize what you have. Love it. Okay, now let's move to a truly profound idea from Wattles. One that might challenge our contemporary anxieties about resources quite a bit.
This is where it gets really mind-bending, yeah.
The concept of an inexhaustible, formless stuff or original substance that responds to the needs of man. I mean, this is a huge claim, isn't it?
Monumental.
It absolutely contrasts with our modern anxieties about dwindling resources, climate change, economic scarcity. The list goes on. This formless stuff and original substance, these are core concepts from his text, right? Referring to some underlying unmanifested substance of pure potential.
Exactly. A foundational, responsive force that exists everywhere. It is indeed a monumental claim, and it's central to his philosophy. Wattles states, everything you see on Earth is made from one original substance out of which all things proceed. This universal source, he describes it as a limitless reservoir of creative energy, the ultimate building blocks of everything that exists.
Wow. A limitless reservoir.
It's a profound idea of universal abundance that directly defies scarcity thinking.
Scarcity thinking. That mindset that assumes resources are inherently limited and insufficient, right? Leading to a constant battle for what little there is.
Precisely. He challenges our fundamental fear of resource depletion and invites us to view the world through an entirely different lens.
It's a radical departure from the common narrative, isn't it? It challenges the very idea that depletion isn't just physical, but also conceptual. That we're constantly trying to manage the dwindling supply of everything, from natural resources to creativity.
Right. Instead, it invites a different lens. It forces us to reconcile our ingrained beliefs about limits with this truly radical thought. Wattles suggests that even the visible supply is practically inexhaustible, and the invisible supply really is inexhaustible, implying this constant underlying wellspring of potential.
Okay, so how does that connect to today? It feels very abstract.
Well, this is where powerful modern concepts like regenerative design and circular economies truly resonate with Wattles' idea.
Interesting connection.
These aren't just buzzwords. They represent approaches to systems that don't just sustain, but actually renew themselves, where resources are endlessly cycled and transformed rather than consumed and discarded. This contemporary vocabulary paints a vivid picture of innovative solutions that align perfectly with the idea of a continually replenishing, inexhaustible source.
So it's like working with this abundance rather than against perceived limits.
Exactly. Waddle suggests that this formless stuff will produce more soil or more gold and silver if needed, implying a responsive universe. It's about tapping into a cosmic potential that he believes is fundamentally at our command.
This radical insight, this idea of an inexhaustible universal source, it could profoundly influence our entire approach to addressing environmental challenges and driving economic growth, couldn't it?
Absolutely.
If we truly believe in an inexhaustible storehouse of riches, then abundance becomes a creative act, not just something to be managed or hoarded.
Yes, that's a key shift.
It implies a cosmic potential that we can actively tap into, a tapping into a deeper wellspring of possibility that's rooted in a completely different kind of abundance thinking. It changes everything about how we perceive our role in the world.
Absolutely. And cultivating an abundance mindset over scarcity, it allows you to overcome that feeling of being hemmed in by perceived limits. This isn't just, positive thinking or wishful thinking. It's a fundamental, deeply practical shift in how you view the world, its resources, and your own capabilities within it. It empowers you to see opportunities where others see only lack.
Seeing opportunities instead of lack, that's powerful. Now, this formless stuff isn't just described as limitless or omnipresent. Waddles takes it a step further, which is even more mind-blowing.
Right, he adds another layer.
He describes it as intelligent, alive, and always impelled toward more life. The universe, in his view, is seen as a great living presence, not just inert stuff or random particles, but something profoundly dynamic, conscious, and inherently directional.
It's a potent, almost spiritual view of existence itself, isn't it? It suggests an inherent drive towards growth, organization, complexity that is deeply woven into existence itself.
Woven into existence.
Yeah. It's not just a philosophical concept. It means that phenomena like ecosystems self-regulating and evolving are just one observable manifestation of this deeper inherent intelligence. It implies an undeniable force, a cosmic imperative pushing towards greater life and expression.
Okay, so if we take this understanding of an intelligent, life-advancing natural world seriously, how might that profoundly inform our modern scientific endeavors, like advancements in AI or biotechnology?
That's a fascinating question.
Does it imply a new kind of responsibility? Not just to manipulate nature, but to co-create with this life-advancing impulse. For example, biomimicry designing things modeled on biological processes. That feels like a tangible example of aligning with what you might call the fundamental code of life, observing nature's intelligence and learning from it.
Absolutely, you hit the nail on the head. Our role fundamentally changes. We shift from being mere observers or manipulators of an inert world to becoming collaborators and stewards within a living, intelligent system.
Collaborators and stewards. I like that.
It's about aligning with that inherent intelligence of the universe, much like biomimicry aligns with the fundamental code of life. The goal shifts from merely extracting or controlling to moving towards more life, fuller functioning harmoniously.
Yeah.
It's no longer about manipulating inert stuff or viewing nature as simply a resource to exploit for our own narrow gain. Instead, it's about engaging in a partnership, understanding that true innovation might come from deeply understanding and working with the natural inclination of the universe towards growth and abundance.
This truly is a complete paradigm shift then. It means our innovation shouldn't just be about exploiting resources or even just sustaining them, but about actively participating in the ongoing evolution of life and intelligence that Waddles describes. It implies a profound responsibility to foster not only human flourishing, but also ecological balance and the well-being of the planet as a whole. To truly entertain this premise, this idea that the universe itself is intelligent and alive, wow, it changes everything about how we might approach science, business, even our daily lives.
It really does. It reframes our entire relationship with the world around us.
Now, it's clear that while the source material, frequently emphasizes financial gain and getting rich in the material sense, the underlying principles of the certain way seem like they can be applied much more broadly.
Oh, absolutely. The core ideas have wider application.
So, maybe a question for you, the listener.
Yeah.
What does riches truly mean to you in the fullest sense?
That's such a crucial question, isn't it? Especially in a world that's increasingly valuing well-being, purpose, and impact beyond just, financial metrics. The definition of riches has indeed evolved beyond purely material possessions. Waddell's principles, when applied thoughtfully, can contribute to achieving a holistic sense of abundance and multidimensional richness.
Multidimensional richness. That's a great term.
Yeah.
It's not just a fancy phrase, is it? It signals a prosperity that includes many different interconnected aspects beyond just money. It speaks of true financial stability alongside a thriving life.
Precisely. A richer definition of rich, you could say.
Yeah. And the source material, implicitly, it seems to provide a framework for cultivating this multidimensional richness. It highlights maybe 3 key avenues. First, cultivating rich relationships, meaningful connections with family, friends, community that really nourish your soul.
Absolutely fundamental.
Second, pursuing rich experiences like immersive learning, where you dive deep into new knowledge, or transformative adventures that challenge and expand your perspective.
Experiences over things often.
Right. And third, cultivating rich health, which encompasses not just physical vitality, but also mental clarity and profound emotional well-being. These are all terms that expand the concept of wealth far beyond just a bank account balance.
When you combine these elements, relationships, experiences, health, alongside financial well-being, this becomes the true determinant of a rich life. It's about achieving holistic prosperity, which, as we've explored, goes far beyond just money or accumulating things. It's an assertion about individual potential to create a life of profound fulfillment and deep satisfaction, a life that is truly rich in every sense of the word.
So as you reflect on this, how might applying this certain way contribute to your broader definitions of a rich and fulfilling life in the modern context? It's not just about financial success. It's about aligning your actions with these principles to manifest a life that is truly abundant and meaningful on every level.
A much bigger, more inspiring goal, really. One of the most empowering statements from Waddell's, which we touched on earlier, is that the individual worker is not held down by the ignorance or the mental slothfulness of his class. Rather, he can follow the tide of opportunity to riches, and this book will tell him how. This is such a profound emphasis that mindset and action are paramount. That phrase, ignorance or the mental slothfulness of his class, it points directly to an internal barrier, doesn't it? Highlighting that it's not primarily external forces, but rather internal limitations that can prevent people from succeeding.
That's a powerful framing.
Yeah.
So this statement, it powerfully points to knowledge as the key to economic mobility.
Yes, absolutely.
In today's world of rapid tech change and a speed of change that feels faster than ever, where industries are transforming overnight, how critical is not just specialized knowledge, but continuous learning as the path to mobility and a fundamental adapting of one's mindset.
Oh, it's more essential now than ever before. It absolutely is. It's about cognitive flexibility. We mentioned that earlier.
Right.
That profound capacity to learn, to unlearn old assumptions that no longer serve you, and to constantly adapt your thinking to new realities. Relying solely on past knowledge or stubbornly staying within your comfort zone is, well, it's a recipe for stagnation. That's a great metaphor, isn't it? A combination of factors leading inevitably to a lack of progress.
Yeah, stagnation. Nobody wants that.
No. Waddell's message about overcoming mental slothfulness is incredibly relevant now, perhaps more than ever, because the cost of inaction, of not adapting, is so much higher today.
So for you, the listener, it means cultivating relentless curiosity, an unyielding desire to know, to explore, to understand, a proactive pursuit of understanding.
Exactly. It's about seeing every challenge, every disruption as an invitation to expand your understanding, rather than something to be feared or avoided.
That shift in perspective is huge. Challenge's invitation.
It is. This isn't just a strategy for success. It's the core of how you should approach learning and grow throughout your entire life. Precisely. It's about fundamentally adapting your mindset to be relevant now than ever. This isn't just about keeping up with the rapid pace of change. It's about being ahead, constantly refining your certain way of thinking and acting to align with the opportunities that are continually emerging around you.
Constantly refining. It's an ongoing process.
Always.
Okay, so the source book, The Science of Getting Rich, of course, goes into the detailed how-to later on. We haven't covered all of that today. But based on the powerful implied principles we've discussed, aligning with opportunity, the power of focused effort, understanding abundance, the intelligence of the universe, what specific daily practices or mindset shifts would be essential for someone listening right now to begin acting and thinking in a certain way? What can our listeners start doing today?
That's a great practical question. Drawing from the foundational wisdom of Wattles that we have explored, we can definitely infer several core, powerful principles that translate into practical strategies for modern life.
Okay, let's hear them.
All right. First, setting clear intentions. Truly knowing what you want to achieve with absolute specificity. Not vague wishes, but clear goals.
Clarity is key.
Second, practicing focused attention and what we call deep work. We talked about that. That means carving out that uninterrupted time for concentrated, high-value work, deliberately avoiding distractions.
Easier said than done sometimes, but crucial.
Absolutely. Third, actively seeking emerging trends. Always being on the lookout for those new frontiers and tides of opportunity we discussed earlier, keeping your eyes open.
Staying curious.
Exactly. Fourth, consciously cultivating an abundance mindset over scarcity. Training yourself day by day to see infinite possibilities rather than limited resources. It's a practice.
Practice, right. Not automatic.
Fifth, engaging in regular self-reflection and committing to continuous learning. Constantly assessing your progress, learning from mistakes, and adjusting your course.
Learning and adjusting.
And finally, taking small, consistent, intentional steps. Demonstrating relentless, focused consistency and embracing consistent, incremental shifts. It's not usually about grand overnight transformations, but about steady, deliberate progress, brick by brick.
I like that. Relentless, focused consistency. And consistent incremental shifts, it takes the pressure off needing some huge breakthrough, doesn't it?
It really does.
It harnesses your creative energy by giving it clear direction. It sounds like a continuous process of actively improving your certain way, day by day, choice by choice.
It's exactly what it is.
It's about internalizing that growth orientation, recognizing that lasting success isn't just a matter of external circumstances or sheer luck, but rather a profound internal alignment with these timeless principles we've explored today. These are the very foundations of this certain way, your way to engage with the world.
Indeed. It's about empowering yourself to engage with the world in a way that truly lets you create and receive abundance. By integrating these principles, you really will be able to navigate the waters of opportunity with confidence and skill, turning potential into tangible reality.
Navigate the waters of opportunity.
All right, let's really dive into something powerful today.
That's good.
Sometimes, the quickest way to really get a handle on big ideas isn't just reading more stuff. It's about truly grasping the specific words that shape those ideas.
Absolutely. The building blocks.
Exactly. So today we're taking a deep dive into Chapter 3 of a really fascinating text. And we've got a hand-picked vocabulary list pulled right from it.
Mm-hmm.
Think of this as your shortcut, maybe, to mastering the language of opportunity and abundance.
And our mission here, it's much more than just handing out definitions.
Yeah.
We want to show you how these words actually work, how they function as active tools in arguments.
Okay.
And maybe more importantly, how you can start weaving them into your own thinking, your conversations, your writing, just to really elevate how you communicate.
Yeah, and that's the goal for you, our listener. We want you to move past just, recognizing these words.
Right. Passive recognition isn't enough.
No. We want you to feel confident using them appropriately, making them an active, powerful part of your own toolkit. This isn't passive learning. It's about boosting your active, impactful communication.
Well said.
So let's start right where the chapter kicks off. It really sets the scene.
Okay.
Chapter 3 opens by asking us to think about what it means when a whole field is pretty well monopolized. When you hear that word, monopolized, what kind of picture does that bring up for you?
Oh, it creates a very clear image, doesn't it? Almost immediately. When something's monopolized, it basically means one person or one company has the sole grip on it. Total control.
Right, like a single company owning all the social media platforms or something.
Exactly. Or like the example you mentioned earlier, a tech giant that's monopolized digital streaming. They control the whole show.
Mm-hmm.
And in chapter 3, the author uses this right away. Points to the great railroad systems back then being pretty well monopolized. Yeah. Now, this isn't just defining a word. It's a strategic move, It sets up this initial feeling of, limited options, restricted opportunity, like the doors are already closed.
Yeah, that feeling of restriction definitely comes through. And it builds on that, right? Following that control idea, the text says wealth can have a fence around it. That's quite a visual.
It's a powerful imagery in that.
Yeah.
A fence around it. It's an idiom, really.
Right.
It implies restricted access, often, with a sort of negative feel, exclusion.
Like trying to break into an old boys club or something?
Exactly. Or think about, say, really tough regulations, putting a fence around a new startup, trying to get into the pharmaceutical market.
Gotcha.
What's interesting here is how the chapter intentionally builds this picture first. This idea of wealth being hoarded, opportunities locked up. It's like setting up the common belief.
Only to knock it down.
Precisely. To challenge it.
And that's where the shift happens almost immediately. It counters this limitation idea straight away. It says, look, even if you're shut off from engaging in business in certain lines, there are other channels open to you. It flips the script.
It really does, quite quickly. Engaging in business, that just means, doing commercial stuff, starting a venture. Pretty straightforward.
Okay.
And channels open to you just means available paths, opportunities, ways to get something done.
Right.
So you might find, even in a recession, new grads find various channels open to them for engaging in business, maybe in the gig economy or something new.
Makes sense.
The chapter pivots really fast from the perceived limits, like the big railroads, to active possibilities. It points to things like electric railways, which were new then, and even this wild idea of aerial transportation.
Wow.
You're basically saying, stop banging on that locked door. Look over here. There are other doors wide open. These phrases are super useful when you talk about career changes or diversifying a business, exploring new sectors.
So that's the first big takeaway, maybe. How the text challenges these assumed barriers, sets them up, then shows the open doors.
Exactly.
And speaking of open doors, it then pushes us towards fields in its infancy that offer plenty of scope for enterprise. Listener, what kind of cutting-edge stuff does that make you think of today?
Yeah, good question. When something's in its infancy, it's brand new, right? Very early stage, lots of room to grow.
Like AI, maybe, or certain areas of biotech?
Could be, yeah. And plenty of scope for enterprise just means there's ample opportunity there.
Yeah.
Lots of room for new businesses, new ideas, creative stuff.
Okay.
Think about the internet back in the day. When it was in its infancy, it offered just massive scope for enterprise. Look at all the businesses that sprung up.
True.
The text uses the electric railway business. And this emerging idea of traffic and transportation through the air as its examples. It even talks about the potential to give employment to hundreds of thousands.
So it's about spotting potential before it's obvious.
Right. It's suggesting real wealth often comes not from fighting in crowded, established markets, but from creating value where others haven't seen it yet.
And the chapter gets even more direct, doesn't it? It asks, point blank, why not turn your attention to the development of aerial transportation instead of competing with J.J. Hill and others for a chance in the steam railway world? That's a specific challenge.
It really is. To turn your attention to something means to focus your effort, your interest, right there.
Okay.
Aerial transportation as well. Flying machines carrying people or stuff.
Obvious now, but radical then.
Totally. And the steam railway world represents that established, maybe saturated industry, the old way. It's like someone today, maybe after years in corporate banking, deciding to turn their attention to, say, sustainable agriculture, a conscious shift. The text is deliberately contrasting the old, possibly monopolized industry with the new, wide-open frontier. It's about choosing where you focus your energy. These phrases are gold for strategic planning, or thinking about a career change, or just sizing up where the real opportunities are, established versus emerging.
So the message is, focus your attention consciously on the new stuff, the fields in their infancy.
That's where the scope for enterprise really lies, according to this chapter.
Got it. Now, the text pushes this idea of individual action even further. It paints this really vivid picture, almost a mini-drama.
It says,
It talks about a workman in the employ of the Steel Trust working in a plant and suggests he can commence to act and soon leave the employ of the company to become a producer of foodstuffs by farming, by cultivating land intensively. That's a huge leap.
It is a huge leap, and it maps out this path for, like, radical personal change. A workman in the employ of a big company, like the Steel Trust.
Right, like U.S. Steel or something back then.
Yeah, exactly. Working in a plant, a factory. That's someone deep inside the old industrial system.
Yeah.
But the text says they can commence to act, basically. Start doing something different.
Yeah.
Take initiative.
Okay.
And then leave the employ of that company. Quit that job.
And become a farmer, a producer of foodstuffs.
Yes, and specifically by cultivating land intensively. Using efficient methods, maximizing the yield from a smaller plot. It's a powerful story of self-reliance.
It really is.
Think of maybe a graphic designer today in the employ of a big agency. They commence to act on their own idea, maybe start a side hustle,
Right.
eventually leave the employ of the agency, become an independent producer of, say, unique digital assets, and cultivate their niche market intensively.
That makes sense. So the whole sequence is about individual agency, taking action, even if your situation seems fixed.
Exactly. It's super relevant for talking about career shifts, entrepreneurship, bootstrapping, that kind of personal transformation.
And this individual choice, it seems to fit into a bigger pattern the text describes. It says the tide of opportunity sets in different directions, and this tide is shaped by the needs of the whole society, I guess, and the particular stage of social evolution we're in.
That's a great metaphor, isn't it? The tide of opportunity sets in different directions. It means the big trends for success, they're always shifting.
Like fashion, but for industries.
Sort of, yeah. And it happens according to the needs of the whole. What society needs collectively and where we are in our development, our particular stage of social evolution.
Okay.
The text, writing when it did, argues the tide was then setting toward agriculture and the allied industries and professions.
Right, because industrialization was mature, maybe?
Perhaps. Think about the Industrial Revolution itself. Back then, the tide of opportunity set strongly towards manufacturing, definitely according to the needs of the whole society at that particular stage of social evolution.
Makes sense. So you need to figure out which way the tide is flowing now.
Exactly. It encourages adaptability, foresight. That's why the text says, in its time, opportunity is open before the farmer. more than others. It's about reading the currents.
So these phrases, they're crucial for big picture thinking, market analysis, strategy.
Absolutely. Understanding those large-scale shifts.
And to really hammer that home, the text gives direct advice. Go with the tide rather than swimming against it. Listener, what comes to mind when you hear that? Going with the flow versus fighting it.
It's very direct, isn't it? Almost pragmatic. To go with the tide just means aligning yourself with the main trend, the circumstances, instead of fighting them.
And swimming against it is the opposite.
Yeah, resisting that trend, trying to do something completely counter to the current direction. You see it all the time.
Like someone's sticking with, I don't know, video rentals when streaming is taking over.
Perfect example. That's swimming against it. Whereas someone deciding to go with the tide might retrain for a job in renewable energy instead of doubling down on fossil fuels. The text ties going with the tide directly to finding abundance of opportunity and riches.
Implying that swimming against it leads to struggle, wasted effort.
That's the strong implication, yeah. It really underlines this belief in aligning yourself with where the energy, the opportunity is flowing.
Now, this is where things get maybe a bit controversial or surprising. The text makes a really strong counterargument.
It does.
It claims workers are not deprived of opportunity, they're not kept down by their masters, they're not ground by the trusts and combinations of capital as a class. It pushes back hard against common complaints.
It's a very deliberate rejection of what you might call a victim mentality, or at least an external blame mentality.
Okay.
To be deprived of opportunity, denied chances. To be kept down by their masters, suppressed by those in power.
Right.
To be ground by the trusts and combinations of capital, crushed by big monopolies and finance. Heavy stuff. And adding as a class specifies it's talking about the group, the working class as a whole. The text flatly denies that these external forces are the fundamental reason for lack of success.
So it's redirecting the focus away from the bosses and the monopolies.
Exactly. It's setting the stage for its own explanation, which focuses much more on internal factors, on individual mindset and action. These phrases themselves, though, are obviously central to socioeconomic debates, labor history.
Sure, you hear them a lot. So if it's not those external things holding people back, what is the alternative path the text suggests? It mentions workers could, if they chose to do so.
Right, the power of choice again.
They could follow the example of their brothers in Belgium. What was happening in Belgium?
Well, it points to them establishing cooperative industries.
Okay, like worker-owned businesses.
Exactly. Businesses owned and run by the workers for mutual benefit. And it suggests electing men of their own class to office.
Getting political power.
Right. To pass laws favoring the development of these co-ops. And the end goal. Taking peaceable possession of the industrial field and becoming the new master class.
Wow, so that's a blueprint for collective action, for systemic change.
It absolutely is a very clear vision for group empowerment. If they chose to do so, they could follow the example of others, like those brothers in Belgium, establish cooperative industries, use political power via electing men of their own class to office to pass laws favoring them, and ultimately achieve peaceful possession of the industrial field, becoming the dominant master class.
But then it pivots again, doesn't it? Back to the individual.
It does. Right after outlining that collective path, it insists that the law of wealth, the principles of getting rich, applies equally to individuals.
So you don't have to wait for the group.
Apparently not, according to the text. It argues if individuals remain where they are, stay stuck, it's because they do not do things in a certain way. That specific method again.
And it explicitly says the individual worker is not held down by the ignorance or the mental slothfulness of his class.
Right. It rejects that idea. It says that individual, on their own, can follow the tide of opportunity to riches.
So it presents both paths, collective action and individual initiative.
It seems to. It acknowledges the co-op model, saying they chose to do so, following the example. But then it strongly emphasizes the individual power based on this law of wealth, arguing you don't have to remain where you are, held down by group limitations, if you just follow the tide correctly. The ultimate responsibility and power seems to land back on the individual's way of thinking and acting.
Okay. Now, this leads into some really profound, almost metaphysical territory. The text makes this incredibly bold claim. No one is kept in poverty by a shortness in the supply of riches.
Yeah, that's a cornerstone statement. It directly contradicts the idea of scarcity.
And it uses amazing imagery to back it up. Palaces big enough for every family, clothing finer than Solomon was arrayed in all his glory, opulence, and food enough to feed them all luxuriously, specifically through intensive cultivation.
It's painting a picture of absolute limitless abundance. Being kept in poverty by a shortness in the supply of riches means being poor just because there isn't enough wealth to go around. The text flatly denies this is the case.
And intensive cultivation is the key for food.
In that example, yes. Using smart farming to get maximum output. The core argument is the nation isn't poor because of lack of resources. Through methods like intensive cultivation, it could produce food enough to feed everyone luxuriously.
But then it draws that distinction you mentioned earlier.
Right. This is crucial. It says the visible supply is practically inexhaustible.
Okay, like the stuff we can see and count.
Yeah, but then the invisible supply really is inexhaustible.
Okay. That's the deeper level, not just physical stuff.
Exactly. It's moving beyond material resources into something more fundamental.
Which takes us right to the heart of it. The text goes deep here. It says, everything you see on earth is made from one original substance, out of which all things proceed.
This is the core metaphysical idea.
This formless stuff is the raw material of all things.
That's the concept. This one original substance is the fundamental primordial stuff from which all things proceed. Everything.
So tables, chairs, stars, us.
According to this view, yes. The idea is new forms are constantly being made from it, while older ones are dissolving back into it. But all these forms are just temporary shapes assumed by one thing.
And there's no limit to it.
No limit to the supply of formless stuff or original substance. It's infinite, undifferentiated potential. Philosophers and mystics have talked about similar ideas for ages, whether all things proceed from one original substance with new forms constantly being made and older ones dissolving, all just shapes assumed by one thing.
And it's everywhere.
The text says the spaces in, through, and between the forms of the visible universe are permeated and filled with the original substance. So you can't possibly have exhausted the supply of universal raw material. It's infinite.
This is big, very different from thinking about limited resources.
Absolutely. It's a fundamental shift in perspective, central to this text's whole argument about abundance.
Okay, so if this infinite substance is the source of everything, how does that connect back to nature and practical needs?
Well, the text then describes nature itself as an inexhaustible storehouse of riches.
Okay.
It says nature is alive with creative energy, and it's constantly producing more forms.
So it never runs out.
The supply will never run short, is the claim. Even if, say, soil is exhausted through farming, it will be renewed, or more soil will be made. If gold is dug from the earth, more gold will eventually be produced from the formless.
Wow. So it's not just a static pool of resources, but a generative force.
Exactly. This original substance, manifesting as nature, responds to the needs of man. It will not let him be without any good thing.
That's a powerful statement of faith in the universe, almost.
It is. Imagine nature as this endless wellspring, this inexhaustible storehouse of riches, buzzing with creative energy, always making more, always responding to the needs of man, determined not to let him be without any good thing.
It completely reframes scarcity, doesn't it?
It does. It makes scarcity seem like a misunderstanding or a failure to connect with this abundance. It directly ties back to the earlier point. If people are poor, it's because they do not follow the certain way, not because the universe is stingy.
Which brings us to the grand finale of the chapter, really. The nature of this substance.
The climax, yeah.
It states that formless stuff is intelligent. It is stuff which thinks.
Whoa. Okay, not just passive material.
Not at all. It has a natural and inherent impulse, an inner drive to seek to live more.
More life.
Yeah.
More expression. Exactly. For intelligence to enlarge itself and for consciousness to seek to extend its boundaries and find fuller expression, it's fundamentally expansive.
So the whole universe.
The whole universe of forms has been made by formless living substance, deliberately throwing itself into form in order to express itself more fully.
It's described as a great living presence.
Always moving inherently toward more life and fuller functioning. It's fundamentally pro-life, pro-growth, formed for the advancement of life. The core impelling motive behind everything is the increase of life.
That's profound.
It leads to the conclusion that everything which can possibly minister to life is bountifully provided. There simply can be no lack unless God is to contradict himself and nullify his own works.
So lack or poverty would be like a glitch in the divine matrix, a contradiction.
According to this text, yes. It violates the fundamental nature of this intelligent, life-seeking substance.
And the punchline?
The punchline is, the resources of the formless supply are at the command of the man or woman who will act and think in a certain way.
There it is again, certain way.
That's the key. The universe is this intelligent, abundant, life-giving presence. And crucially, we can tap into that infinite supply, command those resources, if we align our thoughts and actions in this specific certain way. It puts tremendous power and responsibility back onto the individual's mind.
Wow, what a journey through these words. Seriously, from grasping how an industry gets monopolized.
Right, that feeling of limitation.
All the way to this concept of an intelligent, original substance that permeates and fills everything. It really does shift how you think about scarcity and opportunity and, well, reality itself.
And that is exactly the point of this deep dive. It's not just about learning definitions, is it?
Not at all.
It's about seeing how these specific words build a whole worldview. Our hope is that you, listening, won't just recognize these words now, but that you'll feel more confident, more empowered to actually use them, weave them into your own thinking, your conversations, your writing.
Try them out.
Exactly. Experiment. Make them your own active tools. The more you use them, the more natural they become and the more nuance and power you bring to your own communication.
Absolutely.
Well, we've truly unpacked a remarkable amount today, haven't we?
We certainly have covered a lot of ground.
From the concept of monopolized industries all the way to the profound idea of the formless stuff, we've really taken a deep dive. Not just into complex ideas, but also into the advanced vocabulary that brings them to life. That allows us to truly understand their subtle nuances.
Yeah, words like groundbreaking ideas, paradigm shift, intensive cultivation, they aren't just labels. They help us grasp the sheer scale or significance of something, adding that sophisticated layer to our understanding and communication.
Definitely.
You know, Waddell's idea that the formless stuff is impelled towards more life, fuller functioning, it leaves us with a truly important question for you, the listener. If the universe itself has this inherent drive towards creation and abundance, what unique role do you play in its ongoing creation, its manifestation? What new possibilities are you called to bring forth, to express aligned with this universal impulse in your own life and in the world?
Wow. That's a powerful thought to sit with. Your unique role in ongoing creation. And as we close, we really encourage you to start using these words we've discussed, the concepts, the nuanced phrases, and integrate them into your speaking and writing.
Give them a try.
Yeah, you'll find it truly does add clarity, precision, and sophistication to your communication. Think about how they fit into your own conversations, your goals, and maybe how they can reshape your reality. Remember, practice makes perfect.
Absolutely. And if this deep dive resonated with you, and we certainly hope it did, please consider giving us a like, share it with others who might benefit from these insights, and subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into fascinating topics and language exploration.
Yeah, we'd appreciate that.
We're here to help you get well informed, one deep dive at a time.
Thanks for joining us.